Build $1 million legacies with purpose. As a leader, what is one leadership principle that you have found to be the most impactful for your organization? And
Uh,
I could not have a better guest. Listen, y'all, y'all about to get it today. He's going to be dropping some gems. I hope you got your pen and your pad out because he is all about developing legacy through real estate. He is a real estate developer. I've been knowing him my entire life. When I say my entire life, that is no exaggeration. And as far for as long as I have known him, beyond his up to his adolescence age, I would say, he has always been talking about this whole kind of like real estate. This story was all about real estate. And it's amazing how when you're young and when you're young and you talk about these things, people don't really hear you. But when you hold on to that purpose, that level of creativity about something, and then you begin to live it out and you walk it out, and everything about you is about that, it could be no better guest on our show today than we're here with us, Sylvester J. Harris. Can I say Junior?
yes.
Junior. He is my cousin. And when I say I've been knowing him my entire life, I'm just a few years older than he is. And today he's going to share with us about how he started, where he came from, and he's gonna walk us through his development in this whole real estate industry that he has chosen, and he's really dominating the game. He has so many, like he has Harris and Family Holdings, he has Harris Capital Partners, I went to his website and he was sharing with me before we got on this conversation, like it's not up to date. I said, man, it didn't even need to be up to date. I can just kind of like look at what you've done thus far and then pull from there. So we've had some engaging conversation before we've even started this live. And so, Sylvester,
Yes.
can you tell me, because purpose is the intention and the reason for creating a thing,
Mhm.
when did you know, and this probably is going to go back some decades, when did you know this was it for you?
Well, it's probably going back and my dad did renovations and he always was fixing this and fixing that. He was did the mechanical side as far as it relates to cars, but then things around the house. So I guess, just seeing him work on the house and, doing drywall and doing painting and then asking me to help him, give him the hammer, give him the screwdriver, things like that. It just kind of had a passion for construction, and then just seeing things come together, seeing buildings coming together, seeing assets being demolished and designed and built and then maintained. It was just something to see something go from nothing to something, and then with
Mm.
people that can live, work, play in those facilities that was probably on a piece of paper a year 2 years prior to that. So it just was always amazing to me.
So, do you remember when um, you thought to yourself, this is something that really has an impact for me outside of kind of like helping your dad? Was there a special time where it actually clicked for you?
No, I mean, working, going to school and getting educated and getting my bachelor's in construction management, and seeing that side as far as a book sense, and then working in the summer at NASA, seeing some of those projects and some of those build outs with one of my mentors, Lonnie Coleman out of Cleveland, John Corporation, and seeing all that type of activity come together. It's just always been an inspiration just to see something go from something to nothing. Seeing a home being designed, built, and developed, and people living in that facility. A commercial building, seeing raw piece of dirt and being able to see a commercial building being developed where you actually see people utilize that space on a retail side and then on the housing side above it and office. They live, work, play in these communities, that it was just your vision and your imagination that actually made that come to fruition. It's always been inspirational to me.
I'm glad you said vision and imagination because everything is created twice, right?
I agree.
It's created in your imagination first,
Hmm.
and then it's created on the outside, right? Based on
Absolutely.
your insight. So for those, because you have a lot of people out here who are aspiring to be in within your industry,
Mhm.
what would be one piece of advice that you would share with them? And we're going to get into the mentorship after that, but someone who's just starting out and it looks good. Looking at you make it look good,
Okay,
right?
thank you. It's
But
years. It's
just
years.
because you make it look good don't
Yeah,
mean it's good for
it's not.
everybody, right?
Absolutely. No, absolutely not. Um,
So
so the thing I would kind of recommend, getting into the business is that understanding, what's your end goal? Do you want to be an investor or do you want to be a contractor? Do you want to be an architect? Do you want to be an engineer? What aspect of the services that are in or around the industry is what you want to do 3, 4, 5 years down the road? And then draw out a roadmap to it, where you're at to where you're going. A 1 year plan, 3 year plan, 5 year plan. I tell individuals who want to get into the investment market, you ideally you start off in residential real estate with fix and flip opportunities and things like that. But develop you a good team, from contractors to subcontractors, vendors, and suppliers. You're going to go through a lot of lessons. I tell them you're paying for your education, literally on both sides of the table. I paid for my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. Also, I've paid for investment after investment, win, loss, all the way down the road. So you're developing your team over a period of time and make sure everyone wins. You cannot be the only person as the investor or the lead to be the one that's going to take the profits at the end of the day. Make sure in kind, everyone gets their piece. Even though if some eat appetizers, some eat, entrees, some will have dessert. Long as everyone gets what they're duly to achieve on these type of projects, those be your best leads without a business card. You get you a good subcontractor, he'll find you a project because again, he knows that you're going to turn it around and give him opportunities down the road. So develop you a good team.
so that's good because people, especially in entrepreneurship, you don't go as far as your team, your dream, you go as far as your team, right?
Mhm.
So it's good to position yourself with good people around you.
Absolutely.
And then when you just said that, not everybody's going to be with you for the full season. Some people are just there for
Mhm.
a seasonal time frame. And that
Absolutely.
has to be okay too,
Yep.
right?
Some are leaves, some are branches, some are the roots, I mean, leaves will come and be beautiful, and then in certain seasons they're gonna wilt and die away. You can't go too far off that branch or it'll break. You
Right.
gotta understand what everybody's role is. And I tell
Mm.
people all the time, once you know what your lane is, stay in it.
Yes, stay in your
If,
lane,
if you
right?
stay in
Because
your
there's
lane, there's no
purpose in your
traffic.
lane.
There's no traffic.
There's purpose in your lane, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
well, as long as you have purpose in your lane, supernatural things can occur. You
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
like it's almost serendipitous. So you don't have to work as hard when you stay in your lane. So one thing that you just mentioned is mentorship, which I think is very important because mentorship it gives you another form of intake into from someone who's been there, done that, but they're investing in you at that point. So what do does one look for when they're looking for a mentor within this real estate development industry that you are in?
Well, again, find someone, and I look at that as well. Inherently, I've had some great individuals that I call my mentors. That from the H.J. Russell and Company, who I worked for 7 years before I started my business, to the Langston Davis Brothers Construction Company in Richmond, Virginia, Anthony Thompson with Kwame Boo over in St. Louis, Lonnie Coleman in Cleveland, Ohio, with the Cojan Corporation. And there's more across the country that I can actually call on because they've gone down these roads. I can sit with them and have conversations with them about directions that I'm going in, and they can actually, and you find you a mentor that's not going to actually give you that direction, but tell you how he or she experienced that same situation and what was the results of it. What was the good? What's the bad? I mean, similar to, I tell my daughters always tell her, like, I don't tell even though there's nothing in life that they're going to experience that I've never experienced before, but I'm not going to tell you do this. I'm going to tell you when you did this, when I did this, this is what happened. Here was the pros and cons. Let you make that decision that
Mhm.
you want to do. But at least your father told you, hey, this is what happened when I went through that.
You bring up an interesting point there because how you experienced it is a whole generation removed from how they will experience it because they have different nuances in their season that they may experience it different, but just to have that insight based on what you experienced a whole generation before them could really help them overcome some inherent challenges that may be present, but they may not be aware of. And how do you teach them how to pivot?
Just having conversations because again, that conversation will lead to other conversations, lead other conversations. So again, telling them through your experience and teaching them through your experience would actually assist in that process. Like you said, we're on a total different generation. The technology, the platforms, the things that it's point click in there. When we had as construction guys back in the day, we deal with blueprints. Now they deal with these systems that are on your iPad that actually changes the drawings as you're out in the field, and something that takes 5-10 minutes now used to take weeks for us back in the day with changes that occur with projects and things like that, especially the complexity that you have with these projects. So again, just continuously having those conversations with them to make sure, because it's not you're not going to be able to give them a roadmap where they can actually go A, B, C, D, E. Like I said before, a lot of people have asked me, especially give me the ABCs of development. Yes, I can give you the ABCs, but again, there's a chapter one, there's an A chapter one, subsection two, article three that I, as a developer and as a contractor, I've experienced over years, and I can't give you that, or that'll look like War and Peace, and you'll never know how to find it. And
That's
when
good.
you come across it, unless you've experienced it.
Let's talk about the sacrifice.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. It's a lot.
It's
The
a
thing,
lot, right?
yes, the thing I tell a lot of
Because
people,
I know the sacrifice is huge, and you could probably enumerate so many sacrifices that you have made, but can you just share based on like where you are now and when you look back, what is the biggest sacrifice that you had to make?
um, the probably the biggest sacrifice that I would say an entrepreneur will make is family. And I know as a father, yes, I did attend, the recitals and the golf outings and the basketball and the this and the softball and things like that. But it was, I come in, I see, I head back to the office. I come in, I see, I head back office. So the thing about it is that, you're sacrificing that time. And the thing about it, you'll never get that back.
Mhm.
I say my daughter's at 26 and 30 now. And I still see that. I keep a picture of them when they were
I
I mean,
remember when they were
six and
babies.
yeah,
Yeah,
6 and 2.
yeah.
And I still see them in their profile in my phone when their call comes up. It's that 6-year-old picture that pops up.
Mm.
It's that 2-year-old picture that pops up. So those are the things you will sacrifice. But hopefully you're sacrificing that for your family. And the thing about it is that hopefully everyone is, doing this and making these sacrifices for your last name and not your first. Hopefully there's generations in the future that won't even know your name, don't even won't even know that you probably existed, that you planted a seed for them to be able to utilize the fruit later on down the road. And hopefully that's the entrepreneur spirit.
That's so good. Any regrets?
Can't talk about those. No, just kidding.
That's fair
So many. You know, I think everything happens for a reason. I think,
Of course,
yeah,
all everything comes together for good.
absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know,
Because again, I would say 23 years.
there's always a downside.
Oh,
There
absolutely.
is always, listen, people, there is always a downside, even if you're living into your purpose.
Correct.
Ooh, that's good though.
Well,
People need to know that.
well, the thing about what you have is that, you know, I can look back on being an entrepreneur. My primary business is real estate, but I've owned and operated restaurants, nightclubs, lounges, podcast studios. I mean, you name it. If I thought it was profitability there, I invested in it. So, you know, the thing about I look as far as relates to maybe lessons, you know, regrets, they're not really regrets. It's probably lessons learned, paying for an
Oh, that's fun.
education
I
that
like that.
I didn't want to get,
Every loss is a lesson. Every loss is
absolutely.
a lesson.
I have the diploma on the wall. It's a lost business, but that diploma has been paid for. And those questions, those answers to create more questions for the next project or the next business help me out. And sometimes people would ask, well, why I asked them this? Why I'm asking that? Because again, I've gone through these. So some of the business that did not materialize is because you wasn't able to answer the questions that I needed you to answer because I went down that road and lost 50, 100, $200,000 investing in something that I thought was the gold mine. I thought was a no-brainer, but hindsight's 2020. And then you got to deal with the people. It could have been a $1 million opportunity, but did you have the right people to partner with that actually can make that materialize?
Partners is everything.
Mhm.
Um,
True. You can't do
but
everything.
you can't do it by yourself. They have to, as a leader, I mean, you have partners now.
Yes.
As a leader, what is one leadership principle that you have found to be the most impactful for your organization?
I think as I grew into it, giving people the opportunity for them to grow. Is that before when I first started the business, is that, you know, give people opportunities, project managers, superintendents, foremen to run the day to day, but I hovered over them. You know, I didn't allow them to
Yeah.
actually fail, you know,
Mm,
within those parameters. So again, being a good leader is to being able to allow individuals, you know, that have a set skill set, but being able to take responsibility and ownership for it in lieu of being that driver to make sure, because you can't do it all, you know, and that's what I did in the beginning, you know, give them opportunity to run the day to day, but I'm out there every day. How can I grow my business? Like Lonnie used to tell me, as my mentor in Cleveland, you know, he said, well, if you're doing everything on a day-to-day basis, like we are the only industry, well, there's a lot of different industries, but we're probably one of the industries that work ourselves out of a job every day. As
mm,
I put my shovel in the ground, build my foundations, build my walls, build my facilities, I'm actually working myself until I close it and get the certificate of occupancy for that facility. And
mhm.
then I'm on to
And it's
hopefully on
over.
to the next one. But if I'm concentrating on that one, where is the next one? Because I have to be as the leader of the organization, I have to be a year out, 3 years out, 5 years out, networking, having relationship, acquiring assets, so I can actually feed the animal. So I use the restaurant analogy is that I'm out in the field shooting the animals. You know, then I bring it back and I have someone who procures, I have a chef who prepares it, you know, you have a server that serves it. So we have a lineage of individuals. But if I don't go out and shoot our meal, we don't eat.
Mm, mm.
So
I like that.
if I'm getting the food, preparing the food, seasoning the food, cooking the food, serving the food, when do I have time to go out and then get another harvest for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this. We talked about leadership, we talked about sacrifice, we talked about regret. What is it that keeps you going? What makes you sustainable?
Oh, that's easy. Well, my children. in my family. You know, again, like I said, every time when it goes in, I think about them, the girls. I think about my little boy, and knowing that, especially when you get to this, 53 years old now, be 54 in
You're still young, man.
I'm still, yeah, absolutely. No, I don't feel like that when I get out the bed. But the thing about it is that when you get to this stage, you know that you've lived on this earth more than you will live on this earth. And I've come to that realistic ideology. So it's like, where do we go from here? So a lot of things that used to bother me don't bother me. And then, like I said, you got to be purpose driven and intentional. So now I think over the last, 15, 10, 5 years, I've become more purpose driven, more intentional, thinking about legacy, thinking about those projects that will be here long when I'm long and gone, and that where will my children be? You know,
Mm,
I
that's
think
good.
yeah, a
That's
lot
good.
of us don't think like that.
Right.
We should think about the two generations down the road. Through investments, through insurances, through trusts, through endowments, through things that will live long after you're gone.
Done.
Because that's
Mhm.
one thing that's promised to every
Yeah, we're all leaving here one day, right?
day. We just don't know when.
And you want, I heard this one speaker say, and here's how she put it. She said, I didn't come from a wealthy family, but I want a wealthy family to come from me.
There you go. Oh my God, I'm gonna write that down. There
That
will
was
be another
so
quote.
good. That was
Absolutely.
so good. And so I admire all that you have done.
Thank
So I
you.
usually have three questions at the end of the conversation.
Okay.
If you'll be willing to answer those for me.
Yes.
Question one, what is your favorite quote that inspires you when you're not feeling or operating at your highest level?
Hmm. I think I have a lot of different quotes. But one I taught my one of the things one of the poems that I've always taught my daughters, and they had to learn it coming up, is what is their deepest fear? And
Mm,
the deepest fear is not that you're inadequate. Your deepest fear is that you're more powerful beyond measures. It is your light and not your darkness that most frightens you. And that kind of, when I go through that through my poem and going through the thought process, is that I need to actually continue the journey. I need to actually continue the quest so the people around me can actually see it. And then they'll be able to actually do what they need to do to be able to generate that light for other people and stuff like that. So if I dim my light, then and inherently I'm dimming the lights around me. Like my daughter, both my daughters got a master's degree. My oldest actually starting her own business now, and then we were talking yesterday about it, and being able to be in that position where I can actually help her structure her business the way it should be structured through the life lessons that I've had. So now, we got another generations of entrepreneurs that are coming up. And it's not that I told them you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to be an entrepreneur. Now, I did tell them they're going to get their master's degree. I didn't care what
but
they
you
were going to
model
get.
that for them.
Yeah, I told
What
them.
you model for people, what you model for your children are watching.
Oh, I agree. I used to tell my kids all the time is that me and their mom, we had our bachelor's degree. This is before I got my master's. And I said, you're going to get your master's. I don't care what you get it in. And I'm not going to put down any industry or anything like that. I don't care what you get it in. You're going to get your master's. And my grandkids going to get their doctoral degrees. I don't care what it is in. So we're going to look around and everyone at the family reunion is going to be talking about investments and this, and not going to be talking about when they're going to get their next bag. We're not talking about that. We're going to be talking about how we collaborate and how we do this and how we network, things
You.
that are positive and driven with what we're doing. And that's the quest that I had. It is what it is. So, and I'm proud to say both of them did that.
Got their
And
master's.
they did it reluctantly. They were kicking and dragging to do it. But I think
That's
both of them
good.
benefit from it now.
Question two. What is one book that has made a difference as you are living out your purpose? What is one
Um,
book that you have
I think
read that has
one
made
of
a
the books that I read, I probably read 5 or 6 times. Um, it'd be about it's why should white guys have all the fun? And it's a book. Reginald Lewis and TLC Beatrice, one of the first Black billionaires. He was import export, actually one of my fraternity brothers as well. So that kind of inspired me in the beginning. But as you go through it and then understand all the things that he had to go through, and he had to, kind of do it differently and unorthodox, a way he became, a self-made billionaire. One of the things that I saw in there that I tried not to do, because it was nothing but positive, but he died of an aneurysm. But because his wife always said he was always thinking, he was always doing another deal. He was always, so I sometimes catch myself doing that. And I don't, so 'cause I'm always thinking about the next opportunity. It's like that red car theory. I'm always looking for the red car. I'm always looking, even in conversations I'm having. I had a conversation with a potential client the other day, about a month ago, and they were talking about something. And in that conversation, I was like, you got a business, right? And they was like, what are you talking about? And they have this relationship overseas in Asia with product, building product. And they never would have thought. I said, you have a business. So I kind of laid it out. Now they started their business. They started their business about a month ago, and they've already got 3 clients already. And they didn't really realize that you have a business that you can actually get these type of materials at 30 cents on the dollar, 40 cents on the dollar from door to door. You
Got
have that's very lucrative. So I'm always that red car. I'm always thinking about it. So I try to slow that down as I'm more cognizant of it.
Okay. And I have one more question. I'm kind of like, what tool to use to continue, what tool do you have to use to continue to elevate and grow in what you have been purposed to do?
I don't say it's a tool. I mean, it's just networking. I
Networking.
belong to a lot of different organizations here in Atlanta, Georgia. Some a lot of boards here in Atlanta, and I continually network. And the thing about networking is planting seeds. Some of the benefits of the network won't happen for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I have relationships with individuals now that sit and govern organizations and govern municipalities that, hey, we used to hang out when we was 20 years old. We used to go to the lounges and sit up and talk and have fun and chase and do all kind of crazy stuff. Now we can sit and have real conversation because they know where I'm coming from and I know where they're coming from. I know that I'm going to create a win-win opportunity for them. They're going to create win-win opportunities. No like insider thing, but it's in relationships, it's network. I'd rather do business with somebody that I know, that I trust, that I understand, that I've seen going through the grind over and over again and still here.
Right.
The networking is a part of I guess, a tool or an activity that I tell people to do, a lot of it. And don't look to benefit from it. It will inherently happen. If you're standing on what you need to stand on, you're doing what you need to do, you're delivering a service or product that you need that you're doing well at and you're responsible for, and they'll transition towards you.
Okay. Anything else? Like if someone is, because we had a little conversation about this before, if someone is looking to get into the industry,
Mhm.
um, is there some way that they can connect with you via email or how does that look for you? Because
I
I know
have,
you
yeah,
said you
if they
work with
can.
private people.
Yeah, we can put my email up. I have no problem with having conversations with people to actually initially point them in the right direction. If it marries to something later that actually can be a win-win, depending on where they're at and where we're at and where we're going and where they want to go, then that's a great opportunity. I have no problem with actually pointing them in the right direction because of my experience in this real estate industry in all aspects. I mean, we are a real estate developer. We are a licensed general contractor, commercial general contractor, and we have a consulting end of our business as well. But that's certain tiers that we have minimums that you would come in at on the investment level because we've gathered to a certain point. There was certain thresholds that we had to maintain to actually make it profitable. But again, I have no problem with initial conversations, and hopefully I can help someone, and hopefully I can point them in the right direction.
That this has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your purpose and how you have been developing legacy through real estate for your family. And hopefully things that you have shared today is going to help someone as they move forward into their purpose. And if this conversation has helped you, we will put Sylvester's email information. You can reach out to him and he can give you maybe some insights to get you started. But I am so proud of you. You,
One thing I will end with is that a lot of people who I've talked to, not only in the real estate industry, but other industries, I tell, and I'm proud of their successes over the years. And I remember the initial conversations that I've had with them 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, is that when you get into anything, one, have purpose, be intentional. But at the beginning, when you're doing it, you need to eat, drink, sleep what you do. People will get upset with you because, like, do you have nothing else to talk about? That's where you're developing that purpose and that drive at what you do. And you got to love it. Everything, don't look at the currency side of it. Because it's something you love, it will generate the revenue that you wanted to attain. But
mm,
make sure that you're intentional, make sure that your purpose, and make sure that this is what I love to do. And don't mind talking about it, always having discussions about it. Again, I say eat, drink, sleep, something else. I tell them, yeah, this is what
because
you
it's really your gift, and your gift will make room for you. It's a biblical principle, right? And also it puts you in front of royalty. Basically, you're managing your kingdom, and your kingdom is your space, and your
a
space is
good
your
point.
real estate.
Yes, that's a good point. All the other things are great, and I think all the other businesses that we have is kind of a spin-off, and that actually supports it, supports the overall, because everything has to kind of be reciprocal. And the investment side supports the development side, and development side supports the construction side. And I can get into all the other different businesses that we have. But again, it's even in the restaurant, nightclub business. Again, my role was to design it, build it, and maintain it. I don't want to deal with food and beverage. I didn't want to do with political activities or things that we had to get done, or uh, any other aspect of it, marketing, promotions, or anything like that. I want to design it, I build it, I maintain it, I make it look nice. This is what I do. I stay in my lane. There's no traffic. Other people get their lane and they stay in there, and then we can have a very successful business.
Now, Sylvester, you did tell me one thing before we went live. You got a book coming out.
I'm working on that right now. Absolutely.
Oh, he got a book coming out. He has a book coming out, and I think his projected time of completion is around July-ish or
Yeah,
something.
July 1st. I've done 100 words. I'm happy to say my brother-in-law has written 4 books, and in the conversation that we've always had is when I tell him things and he to ask me questions and we talk, he was like, especially you have to write a book. So I'm hopefully the book that I'm writing would help a young entrepreneur, man or woman, um, and in the real estate, hopefully around the real estate, because there's gonna be a lot of references in the real estate. But I think it's more a business and personal one. Like I have 14 chapters that I've created, 7 of which are business referenced, and 7 of which is personal reference. We got the initial items taken care of, so I can actually say it. The name of the book will be called "If I Had to Do It Again." and
Ooh,
and it's just to hopefully give someone that roadmap. And if they decide to go down that path with in this industry, hopefully it can help them out, and not have those speed bumps or those brick walls that I had on the business side, and that I can't say I had in the personal side, but I think I made them in the personal side, but then I had to tear them down. So hopefully
yeah,
they don't have to do that.
absolutely. Well, thank you again. It's been amazing. Great conversation. And for those of you who are really not sure what your purpose is, it's worth just to kind of like test out what your passions are. Oftentimes people have um told you who you could be or who you couldn't be or who you should be or who you ought to be, and that's not really who you are. And so you've created this identity you're trying to live into, and just be your authentic, live into your authentic identity and stop living into your lie identity, and things will work out eventually.
Agree. Totally agree. Absolutely.
But thank you so much. And our audience, we will see you again with another amazing interview. We like to thank Sylvester J. Harris for coming on and sharing some insight into how he's developing legacy through real estate. Thank you again.
Thank you, cousin.